All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the September 2nd Technical Committee meeting. Members, please turn on your cameras during the roll call and also for the voting items. This meeting is being recorded. If anyone should experience difficulties during the meeting, please send a message in the chat box. At this time, Regina will start the roll call to determine member participation. Regina?
Good morning. City of Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Here.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Here.
Carroll County, Harford County,
Here.
Howard County,
Here.
Queen Anne's County,
Here.
MDOT,
Here.
Maryland Department of Planning, Maryland Department of the Environment, I know Catherine's here, Maryland State Highway Administration, Maryland Transit Administration.
Here.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Our first item for approval is the minutes from the technical committee in August. Have members had a chance to review the minutes? If so, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
This is Dan from MDOT. I'll make a motion to approve the minute.
Thank you, Dan.
And Queen Anne's County will second that motion.
Thank you, Queen Anne's County. We will now vote on the approval of the minutes. Where your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Regina, please read down the list of members.
City of Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County, Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. The minutes are approved. We will now consider a request to amend the TIP for one SHA project. This is a new project for safety improvements on Maryland 2 from Maryland 177 to Maryland 648. Keith, please start the presentation.
Thank you. As mentioned in Resolution 26-5, MDOT SHA is requesting to add one new project to the 2026 to 2029 TIP. The Maryland 2 safety improvements from Maryland 177 to Maryland 648. This project will address safety concerns and will also add shared use paths along the corridor. This amendment was reviewed by the ICG and has been determined to be exempt according to the conformity of rule. Mr. Tavon Hawkins from SHA will present the details of this project. Tavon?
Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So, again, like Keith mentioned, we're pursuing an amendment to add this project into the TIP. This project was previously included as in our area-wide program. However, due to increased funding for PE right-of-way and construction requirements, we are amending this project into the TIP as a standalone project. You can go to the next slide, Keith. So the project limits extend along Maryland 2, beginning from Maryland 648 and continuing to Maryland 177. The planned enhancements include installation of a shared use path on both sides of Maryland 2 and implementing roadway geometric improvements and safety measures designated to protect vulnerable road users such as pedestrians and cyclists. Next slide, Keith. And so the project is funded through the HSIP program, which stands for Highway Infrastructure and Safety Program. We're utilizing federal funding with a breakdown consisting of 90% federal funds and a 10% local match contribution. As you can see, the breakdown for PE right away and construction funding breakdown before you. And that concludes, next slide, Keith. Yeah, and that concludes my presentation for this project. Again, my name is Tavon Hawkins. I'm the regional planner at State Highway for Anne Arundel County. Thank you.
Thank you, Tavon. Are there any questions about the presentation? I now ask for a member to move for the approval of Resolution 26-5 and then a second.
Angelica, this is Dan at MDOT. I just want to chime in. There is a
Sure.
public meeting. Well, there was a public meeting in September 2024, and you can get more information about this project on our SHA projects page if you want to see more of the details.
Thank you, Dan.
Anne Arundel County will move approval.
Thank you, Brian from Anne Arundel County.
Harford County will second.
Thank you, Harford County, for second. We will now ask members of the public if they have any questions or comments on the resolution. If so, please indicate you would like to comment in the chat box. Regina, is there any questions in the chat?
I do not see any at this time.
Thank you.
I will
We will-
comment real quick though.
Sure.
If members, I know you read the your response to tip comments a couple months ago. There was a comment from a member of the public about feeling unsafe walking along that stretch of roadway, and we had a very good response from Anne Arundel County and SHA. So this project is really addressing a safety need when the public is writing into us about it. So we appreciate hearing about this. Thank you.
Sure. We will now vote on the approval of the resolution to amend the tip for this SHA project. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Regina, can you read down the list of members?
City of Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County, Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. Now we move on to Resolution 26-6, and this is to consider a request to amend a current project in the tip for Baltimore City. Keith, can you introduce this amendment as well?
Yeah, I can. I don't see anybody from Baltimore City here to present, so I guess I can, unless there's somebody here that I'm not seeing, I guess I can go ahead and do the presentation as well. But yeah, thanks again. Resolution 26-6. Baltimore City is requesting to amend one project in the 2026 to 29 tip, the Greenway Middle Branch Phase 2 project. This amendment adds funding for design and construction. This amendment was also reviewed by the ICG and has been determined to be exempt according to the conformity rules. So I guess there is nobody from Baltimore City here.
I do not see anyone on the
Okay.
sign-in.
Okay, so this amendment is being requested as a result of some of the cost estimates that were prepared in the past. This project has been around for a while, and now they're updating the cost estimates. This will enable Baltimore City to execute new tasks associated with the on-call contract. Next. So as I said, this was an older project. It dates back to 2018 when Baltimore City secured a TAP funding for 30 to 100% design of the Greenway Trail between the casino and entertainment district in the Inner Harbor. It's kind of been stagnant for a while, but now I think the city is ready to move forward with the final design and getting this project out on the streets. So their consultant, Whitman Reckart, prepared an updated cost estimate, and it showed that they didn't have enough funding available to finish the design. So that's the emphasis behind this request. So the Greenway Trail itself will expand multimodal connectivity and create a safe space for all ages, serving non-drivers into Baltimore City. Let's see, updating the financial information in the tip will reflect the current cost estimates, as I mentioned earlier, that were created by Whitman Reckart. And this is just kind of repeating the same thing. Construction costs will be added to the total cost of the project. And this is just a visual of where the Greenway Network, Greenway Middle Branch Trail is located. Well, they had a lot of slides. Like I said, this started in 2018, and an MOU was executed in 2019. The MOU was extended through in March of 2025, and now a PCE, that's environmental reevaluation, was done in April of 2025, and now we're looking for funding for the final design. And this is the timeline, construction. This is the future timeline, so they're going to continue to do additional public engagement, finish the design. Construction cost is currently at 60%. And then if everything goes according to plan, sometime in 2028 or 2029, the construction will be complete. And I guess Ethan McLeod is your project manager for this. So if anybody has any questions, this is Ethan's contact information at Baltimore City.
Thanks, Keith. I now ask for a member to move the approval of Resolution 26-6 and then a second.
Hartford County motions approval.
Anne Arundel
Thank-
County will second.
Thank you, Hartford County and Anne Arundel County. Do any technical members have any questions or comments on this resolution? We now ask if members of the public have any questions or comments on the resolution. If so, please indicate you would like to comment in the chat box. Regina, is there anything in the chat?
No one has entered anything at this time.
Thank you. We will now vote on approval of the resolution to amend the TIP for this Baltimore City project. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Regina, can you read down the list?
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore County,
Aye.
Hartford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Annapolis is here.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Kwaku.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. Now we move on to Resolution 26-7. We will now consider requests for applications for the carbon reduction grant funding. Ms. Allison Gost from MDOT will make the presentation. Allison?
Hi, good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm going to keep my camera off. I was on a call this morning and it was buffering my videos and slowing me down. So I'm going to just keep that off for today. But good morning, everyone. My name is Allison Gost. Thank you. That was great pronunciation on the last name. I'm here to talk about the carbon reduction program recommended list of projects. You can go to the next slide. Yep. So we're just going to run through pretty quickly what the priorities for this program and this funding solicitation were, how much money was available for this region, broken out into the sub-allocation areas, how we identified the projects and what that selection process looked like, how we reviewed the applications, and then what the recommended CRP projects are and the next steps. Next slide. So for those who might remember, we had the first round of climate-focused funding made available in 2024. So this was the second year of funding, and the priority objectives for this cycle, the solicitation, was to continue the coordination with MPOs and project partners at the local level to solicit eligible carbon reduction projects in order to award additional funding. So last year, since last year's cycle, we received our fiscal 25 apportionment, so there were additional funds made available, and so we wanted to identify additional projects. Another main objective was to participate in a transparent and coordinated way to evaluate those project proposals and make sure that we recommended the strongest projects that aligned best with the local needs for funding. And then advancing eligible near-term carbon reduction projects while also simultaneously creating a pipeline of potential future projects for future funding cycles. So there's a lot of numbers on this table or on this slide, and I'm going to talk through them really quickly. But just to kind of, for starters, there's a pre-buffer and a post-buffer number here, and this is different from what you saw last year. So since the original awards of carbon reduction program funding in the fall of 2024, it was made we were made aware of the fact that many of these projects that are funded by carbon reduction program funding, not only in the BRTB area, but across the other sub-allocation areas, many of them are not eligible for additional or other federal funding sources. And so because of that, there was discussions internally on the MDOT side around how do we make sure that these projects, many of them have inevitable cost overages, projects go longer, cost of supplies are different, et cetera. How do we ensure that there are not unnecessary delays or stop work for projects? And the recommendation that we received from federal aid was to hold back roughly 20% of the available funding so that when there are overages on some of these construction projects or design projects, that we're able to kind of continue fully funding them and fund those change orders, and then the responsibility for that additional cost won't fall solely to the locals or the project partners. And so that was a recommendation that we brought to BRTB in our initial conversations. And so we wanted to show the full amount here. And so what you see in that pre-buffer is the available balance now, which is fiscal 22 to fiscal 25. That is the pre-buffer, and then post-buffer is holding back that 20%. So we held it back from the available balance, and we also did add an additional buffer for anything that was awarded in round one. And so you'll see that there's a pretty significant drop off for some of these sub-allocation areas. And that is just to kind of make sure that all of these projects can be completed and reach their full implementation stage without any kind of cost impacts. We did just want to also flag for awareness of that anticipated federal fiscal year 26 balance. And the reason that we did this is because that's the last anticipated year of federal funding for the carbon reduction program. And so that's what you see there in that last column on the right side is going to be all we're expecting to have for the program overall. I know you guys do questions at the end, but I don't know if it's appropriate to see if there's any questions here, but it's a lot of numbers on this table. So I just wanted to make sure that we were kind of clear with how these numbers were calculated and what the purpose of them were. And if we don't want to do questions now, you can just go to the next slide.
I don't see any hands raised. Does anybody have a question for Allison? Okay, we'll take them later if you think of something.
And one last point that I'll make on that is that while we hold back the buffer, as projects move and are complete in implementation, that money is still made available. It's not like we're keeping that money from BRTB regions overall. It's just kind of, we're keeping it as a savings account basically, but it will eventually be able to be awarded or directed to projects that have overages. So all that funds will still be used by BRTB in those sub-allocation areas. So quick kind of timeline of how these projects came to be. And from January to March, we solicited applications for carbon reduction program funds through the Climate Focused Funding Portal, which is an online portal that we use to solicit projects, collecting information on the potential emissions reductions, what the project scope was, what the alignment was with other both local, MPO, and regional or state priorities. And we also highlighted this funding opportunity at the Grants Roadshow, which was a series of workshops, and all of that happened from January to March. Then from April to August, both the MPO staff and MDOT staff, both from SHA and TSO, participated in multi-phase evaluations. So in April, MDOT that says TPB. I'm sorry, we still have TPB presentations. BRTB performed individual evaluations of the applications, considering the priorities that they wanted to screen on, and then we as well. And then we came together in that May to August timeframe over a couple of times and many emails to discuss those recommended projects, and kind of see where both the MPO and the MDOT staff landed on the recommendations. And so the main criteria that we used to evaluate those projects was the GHG reduction potential. Again, the carbon reduction program is intended to be used for projects that reduce carbon emissions from surface transportation projects, alignment with climate action, including state climate goals or regional climate goals, delivery of milestones. This is essentially a readiness check. So we got a lot of applications that were kind of great ideas for down the line, but they wouldn't be ready in time to utilize the funding made available under the CRP. And then the last is the co-benefits. So this is co-benefits to either the local area, the regional, if there's resilience co-benefits, or other co-benefits as identified by either the MPO or MDOT. And so those were the main criteria. There's also discussions around kind of phasing of projects and how do we put the best forward. Next slide. And now we're getting into the recommended projects and the award. They're really high level. We can always provide additional information on those projects as requested, but the first is going to be electrifying Howard County's inspection fleet for $774,000. And that is for electrifying their fleet and adding additional charging infrastructure needed for its operation. So both the vehicles and the charging infrastructure. The second one is EV Ready Baltimore Fleet Charging and Fire Safety. And so that's installing light and medium duty vehicles to support fleet transition to zero emissions. Very significant emissions reductions for both this and the other electrification of the fleet projects. And then some additional kind of expenses within the EV Ready Baltimore project. Next slide. So the RTA Zero Emission Fleet Transition Plan, which is $132,000, is going to be the last at this time recommended project, and that is to develop and then implement a transition plan to convert Howard County's public transit vehicle fleet and support infrastructure for low to no emissions technology. So those are the three recommended funding projects. But we also wanted to flag for the technical committee here that the US 40 shared use path from Aberdeen train station to Havre de Grace is recommended for funding by carbon reduction program funds, but we are going to be funding from the 30% to 100%. So we'll be funding the remainder of the complete design on that path, and TA funds have picked up from 0 to 30. So while we are recommending this for funding from conversations with BRTB and ourselves, it's not ready quite for funding, and we will update the cost estimate on that when we have reached the point of knowing what the estimate for the 30 to 100% design is. Next slide. So next steps, we're kind of in them right now. We come give this presentation, and then you all take the necessary actions that you need to approve those projects and then move them forward with award letters. MDOT will work with BRTB and others as we announce round 2 funding. And then we will continue to move those along through obligation. And then that's where kind of SHA will take those projects to make sure they implement. And then the last thing is not an immediate next step, but that we are going to continue to coordinate with project partners, project sponsors, and BRTB staff to identify additional projects for all of that remaining available funding that you saw in the slides, in the table a few slides back. And that's it. My name is not on here. I'll drop my email in the chat, but both Darren, Morgan, and myself work closely together on this program. I just was the one that pulled the short straw and got to come talk to you all today. And I will drop my email in the chat if you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Allison. Are there any questions from the technical committee members? All right, I'll now ask for a member to move and approve the resolution 26-7 and
Yeah, I'm sorry, Angie.
Sure.
I'm sorry. No, you're okay. I thought we had a question. It was just Allison leaving her email. Please, I'm sorry, please proceed.
No problem. Can I have a member to move and second the resolution 26-7?
Anne Arundel County will move for approval.
Thank you, Anne Arundel County. Second, anyone?
Hartford will second. Sorry, Kwaku.
That's okay.
Thank you, Alex. Regina, are there any questions or comments from the chat?
Not at this time.
Thank you. We will now vote on approval of the applications for the carbon reduction grant funding. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Regina, can you read down the list?
City of Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City,
Aye.
Baltimore County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. Moving on to Resolution 26-8. We will now consider a request to reconcile the FY 2025 UPWP closeout and bring carryover funding into the FY 2026 UPWP. Mr. Todd Lang will discuss the carryover. Todd?
Good morning, everyone. This is a normal presentation that we do pretty much every September. This is after we close out the books on our previous fiscal year, which is fiscal year 2025. We need to update our annual work budget or work program, in this case, the fiscal year 2026 program, to bring over projects that were not completed at the end of the fiscal year. So what you're going to see in this resolution is older projects that were not completed. We still have all of the work items that were approved in the April work program budget still in the program to be completed this year. But what we're doing now is basically bringing forward these old projects into the new work program to make sure we get them done this fiscal year. This includes several of the consultant projects that were started in fiscal year 2025 and not completed, beginning at the top with the vision for the Integrated Regional Bicycle Network, or also known as the Bikeable Baltimore Region Project. Again, we're about 90% complete with that project. We're getting ready for that final phase. We have local signal infrastructure assessment under contract and underway, as same with the Patapsco Regional Greenway Maintenance and Operation Manual. We've recently signed a contract for the Patapsco Regional Greenway branding effort. Then we have the Regional Freight Study, which is out for an RFP right now. We have under contract a biped scoring project scoring effort, and that is kicking off, as is the local project tracking and delivery effort. We've had some initial meetings on that, and we're making some fairly good progress with some of the surveys. You've seen some presentations on the long-range transportation needs assessment, and that's pretty close to getting wrapped up here soon, as is the long-range transportation scenario planning effort with a recent presentation to the BRTB. I believe that was last week. Underway also is Patapsco Regional Greenway Cherry Hill segment. We still have some funding set aside for the tracking and forecasting tools update. Again, these are some internal tools that need to be updated for new versions of GIS and for updates of some of our travel demand modeling efforts. And then we have an ongoing project for transportation land use connection grants. Again, there's been funding allocated for several fiscal years, and this is the remaining balance as of the end of fiscal year 2025. Again, bringing that forward into the new grant program. So that totals about $1.8 million. Again, we've been able to kind of knock down this pretty well in terms of the previous fiscal year. You see that most of these projects are underway, a lot of them actually getting close to being closed out. Second part of this program is also some local funding that is being carried forward into the fiscal year 2026 program. We do thank our local jurisdictions. There's been a lot of effort to try to move forward a lot of these older projects and try to close them out. Now we're kind of getting to kind of more recent funding that we just want to carry over. So there's some projects from the city of Annapolis, again, Baltimore City. You see one of their big efforts is the Vision Zero traffic calming effort. But again, they've been able to spend down a lot of their funding recently and get these projects moving.
Moving forward, Anne Arundel County has a couple of the projects, but they've been able to recently close out some of their major projects from older fiscal years. We have a couple projects left from Carroll, Hartford, and Howard, but again, we do appreciate a lot of these jurisdictions kind of moving forward and closing out some of the older efforts that were kind of lingering around, and they've really come forward with some good products. So we are trying to look forward with our new website, trying to find a good place to try to put some of these documentation of the efforts that are going forward. Finally, Queen Anne's County, you'll see that this also includes a BMC managed project for a US 50 overpass study that was recently kicked off. And then the grand total is all the way down to about $522,000. This is a pretty dramatic reduction from previous fiscal years, as I mentioned. Again, all thanks to local jurisdictions for making sure that they're making progress on a lot of these things. So with that, we are bringing forward a grand total of about $2.3 million from fiscal year 2025. Again, our total work program, runs to the $8 to $10 million program. So again, we're down to a fairly reasonable percentage moving forward. I will say that there are 4 tasks that we are going to allow with this resolution. We are recommending to allow final billing for the Q1 of fiscal year 2026. Again, a lot of these projects are somewhat older. We want to make sure the local jurisdictions have time to integrate them into their local efforts. But we're hoping that the first quarter, which ends at the end of September here, would be the final billing for these 4 individual tasks, including regional transit plan corridors, the electric vehicle charging infrastructure support, again, RTP lot support, and then the Bikeable Baltimore region support, which again is hoping to wrap up here soon. So with that, we are recommending this resolution 26-8 to the technical committee to be moving forward to the BRTB. I can say that I've been in contact with pretty much every jurisdiction on a draft contract for fiscal year 2026, and those contracts would recognize the numbers that you see here in this resolution. With that, I will turn it back over to the chair for any questions or to move forward with the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Are there any questions? I'll now ask for a member to move and approve the resolution 26-8 and then a second.
Baltimore City moves to approve.
Thank you, Sean.
And Queen Anne's County will second the motion.
Thank you, Steve from Queen Anne's. We'll now ask if members of the public have any questions or comments on the resolution. Regina, is there anything in the chat box?
Sorry, not at this time, no.
Thank you. We'll now vote on the approval of the 2025 UPWP closeout and to bring carryover funding into the FY 2026 UPWP. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Regina, can you read down the list?
City of Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City,
Aye.
Baltimore County,
Aye.
Hartford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT. Dan, you must be muted. Are you there?
Aye. Did you
Okay,
get
thank
that?
you.
Okay.
Got
sorry.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. Now we will have Mr. Zach Kaufman for further discussion on the LRTP tasks. Zach?
Yes, good morning. Right, so yes, I have another update on the 2027 LRTP, which is being called Region Next 2055. I mentioned the last time that Region Next has been chosen as an evergreen name for the LRTP that will be used in future LRTPs as well. And 2055 is the horizon year for the upcoming LRTP. In terms of branding and graphic design, we've identified a graphic design firm that is going to develop some logo options for us, as well as templates for the document, presentations, in-person outreach, and digital content. Staff are also working on a public engagement plan to include outreach, newsletters, potential updates to white papers, etc. So as you'll hear in a second, we have an upcoming comment period that generally we do at the beginning of the LRTP cycle associated with goals and strategies, but it can be a long time until the release of the document, which generally happens in early the year that it's going to be adopted. So that would be 2027. So there's a lot of time in there, and we want to keep people engaged, break down LRTP topics. The last time for the LRTP, we had some white papers on various topics like project scoring and safety and transit. So we may update those. Anyway, we're just trying to think of ways to keep people engaged with the LRTP along the way. The financial forecast I talked about the last meeting, again, we're hoping to have that by early 2026, but we do need to, Dan will need to work with you at MDOT to see when it might be feasible for MDOT to provide a forecast of anticipated federal and state revenues. But I also wanted to mention the local forecast. We developed a tool that looks at local funding available for transportation to give a full picture of revenues available in the Baltimore region over the timeframe covered by the LRTP. So I won't get too into it today, but there's a potential data request coming to estimate revenues available for transportation. That tool relies on the most recent CIP within every local jurisdiction, including funding available for capital, funding available for operations, and then the share of capital funding for system preservation versus expansion. You can see a graphic at the bottom. It's fairly small, but there are various sources, as you know, for capital and operating funds like HUR, general funds, bonds, and some other fees, other sources such as usage fees. So what we did was we looked through the CIPs of the various jurisdictions to estimate the amount of money available for each of those sources, and then projected that forward. Primarily, we were working with budget staff, but anyway, your help on that will be appreciated. When we're ready to move forward with that, I'll send a more detailed email about specifically what we're looking for, but wanted to get that on your horizon. Most of this presentation I'll focus on the goals and strategies for the upcoming LRTP. They, as you know, form the transportation vision for the region. There are 9 goals, and then there are a number of associated strategies for each of those goals. So BMC staff have been working on proposed revisions for the goals and strategies from the last plan, with a focus on simplifying and combining redundant strategies where possible, integrating information learned from UPWP projects, plain language updates to make it more readable and understandable, as well as integrating recommendations primarily from the Transportation Needs Assessment Project. That was really geared around learning about the goals and strategies and people's opinions on access and mobility and safety and whatnot throughout the region, but also from the Scenario Planning Project. So this should be familiar to you, but these are the 9 broad goal areas: accessibility, mobility, improving safety, condition of existing infrastructure, environmental responsibility, improving system security, promoting prosperity and economic opportunity, cooperation among stakeholders, and informed decision-making. So I won't go through the full suite of proposed revisions, but I did want to walk through a sampling of revisions by goal area. So starting with improved accessibility, we decided to refine the goal description. It wasn't really targeted towards what we meant in regards to access. So we really tried to focus it in on access by updating it to be identify and support multimodal options to improve access to jobs, schools, housing, parks, and other daily destinations with a focus on lower opportunity areas. We also removed a strategy that was accounted for elsewhere related to the Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan. We removed another strategy where the BRTB really has a limited scope and role related to the private sector and commercial property access. We integrated various needs assessment recommendations related to universal design, which is a framework that is a bit more proactive than ADA, and it's inclusive design that's not just focused on those with disabilities. So ADA remains, but we added a universal design component to that. And we also integrated transit speed, which was something that was a priority among transportation needs assessment survey takers to an existing transit strategy. We also added a strategy explicitly about the completion of the Bikeable Baltimore region, including providing technical assistance, cross-jurisdictional coordination, and preliminary design help. For increased mobility, we refined the goal description to clarify who we mean by system users, to include travelers, maintenance, operations, and emergency response personnel, as well as goods movement. We combined some redundant strategies related to the congestion management process, TISMO, and considering how modes work together into one strategy related to prioritizing projects that increase non-SOV travel and use M&O techniques to optimize performance, recognizing that all travel options and modes are necessary. And we added a strategy that had previously been absent, but is a key concern related to curb management and efficient mobility for people and goods. For improved system safety, we refined the goal and strategy description to focus on to clarify who we mean when we say roadway users. You all know that, but people from the public reviewing it may not. So we added details showing that roadway users are drivers, occupants, pedestrians, bicyclists, other non-motorists, and workers. We added language, certainly important, related to safer work zones and event incident scenes. And we integrated various needs assessment recommendations, which include adding language related to the use of new tools that may be able to help us to identify high crash locations as technology evolves. For example, technology is in the works that can potentially identify near-miss crashes. We also added a reference to NHTSA's countermeasures that work guide related to education and outreach. And we referenced the types of state, regional, and local plans that we support within one of the strategies dealing with those plans, namely strategic highway safety plans and Vision Zero plans. Improving and maintaining the existing infrastructure. Again, we revised strategies to make sure that we're clearly differentiating between the types of infrastructure that we'd like to maintain in a state of good repair. It was a bit muddled before. So we have clear strategies now related to roads, bridges, electronic roadway equipment, transit vehicles and infrastructure, as well as active transportation facilities. We added some descriptive material to clearly define for all audiences what we mean by electronic roadway equipment, transit vehicles, and transit infrastructure. And we added a strategy related to year-round access to walking, biking, rolling, and transit facilities through cleaning and maintenance. That was originally an access, and certainly it's related to access, but we thought that it fit better with improving and maintaining the existing infrastructure. Excuse me. For implement environmentally responsible transportation solutions, we combined some redundant strategies related to emissions reduction. We also integrated needs assessment recommendations related to clarifying the strategies to reduce surface runoff and water, such as nature-based solutions and resilience measures, just adding a little bit more detail there. And we added strategies related to environmental needs that were prioritized in the survey, including mitigation measures for extreme heat, as well as reduced transportation-related noise. Security. So there were kind of 4 strategies that all related to various aspects of coordination to improve capacity in the movement of people during emergencies. And so we combined these kind of redundant strategies, taking the various elements of them into one clear strategy about planning in response to large-scale incidents and various strategies that can be used to do that. We broadened a strategy related to personal security to include enhanced cybersecurity practices and coordinating with the private sector to make sure that we secure vehicles, infrastructure, and data. That will become ever more important as we have as infrastructure and vehicles become more and more connected, and there are vast amounts of data being stored. And we revised a funding related strategy to clarify that it relates to identification of non-transportation sources for security and resilience projects. And we did that because we don't include any identification of funding strategies in the other goal areas, but for improved system security, there are sometimes some non-transportation sources outside of funding through USDOT that might be relevant to that goal. Promoting prosperity and economic opportunity. Mostly this focused on combining some redundant strategies related to coordinating decision-making to improve access, and a few minor plain language updates. So there were 2 strategies that were quite wordy relating to coordinating land use, transportation planning, housing availability, as well as investing in infrastructure that improves access to regional generators of economic activity. And so we worked to kind of combine those into one strategy related to leveraging the coordination of those various aspects of planning to improve affordable access. The other access kind of issues are really covered within the access goal. So we didn't feel like we needed to have a whole separate strategy for that. Finally, the last 2, for foster participation and cooperation, we primarily made plain language updates to make them easier to read, particularly since this goal area involves cooperation among all stakeholders, including the public. So the goal and the kind of the description of the goal became get everyone involved and working together, work together to find solutions that support everyone. So that's a little more readable and understandable for all audiences. And then again, retain the existing strategies, but made some plain language updates. So a wonkier strategy surrounding coordinating transportation planning becomes plan for all types of travel, like driving, walking, biking, and transit. Work with people throughout the region, making sure to consider everyone's needs. Similar updates with promote informed decision-making, again, updating the goal and description to make it clearer and easier to read. And retaining the existing strategies along with some plain language updates. So that was a lot of information. I just wanted to kind of summarize some of the larger scale revisions, but we will be following up with an email today with 2 versions of all 9 goals and strategies, one with a markup showing revisions, and then one clean showing just what we propose for the new strategies and goals. So, we hope the revised goals and strategies meet your expectations, but please review these with an eye towards whether you support releasing the revised goals and strategies for public comment. So send us any comments that would preclude you from starting a comment period in October for the goals and strategies. And we're asking for that review by, I think it's a Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, September 23rd. And so then at the next technical committee meeting, we'll be looking for that final approval to start a public comment period for the goals and strategies. That meeting is on October 7th. And we'll meet after the close of the comment period to discuss any remaining technical committee comments along with the public comments and responses. So this isn't your, final chance to weigh in. And we're anticipating a resolution for the goals and strategies in December or January, but it's looking, based on the schedule, like it will almost certainly be January. So that's all I have for you this morning. Thanks for your time. Look for that email, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thanks, Zach.
Sure.
Now we'll have Keith to provide staff recommendations on the TLC applications. Keith?
Yeah, thank you. So yes, today we are asking for technical committee support for the Transportation and Land Use Connections, or TLC grant program project selections. Next slide. Just some quick background information. We awarded funding for 2 projects in the first round of TLC back in 2022. And that was based on criteria that was established through the technical committee. 3 projects were awarded in the second round in 2024. And today we will be providing an overview of 6 projects that were submitted and our recommendation for awards. So just a quick refresher of what the TLC program is for those of you that haven't been around. The TLC program is designed to support local governments with planning and engineering for projects that improve the quality of life for their residents. The goals of the program are to support revitalization of communities, develop activity centers, help with goods movement, improve access for everyone, provide additional travel options, increased opportunities to live and play, work and play. Awards can be given up to $80,000 for planning projects and up to $100,000 for engineering projects. That goes up to 30% design. So I'm going to walk you through, we have $300,000 for round 3, and I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the 6 applications that we received. So the first project is in Anne Arundel County. It's the Brooklyn Park Bicycle and Pedestrian Connector project. This is very similar to a project that was approved for the last round and was completed successfully and had a lot of good community support for that project. So this is a continuation of the Brooklyn Park neighborhood study that recommends studying new paths and sidewalks to increase multimodal opportunities in Brooklyn Park. The request is for $80,000 in planning funds. And then next slide, this is just a picture of the 3 corridors that the study would include, and that is Morgan Road, 10th Avenue, and Ballman Avenue. And again, this is section priority 3 in the Brooklyn Park neighborhood study. So the next project was submitted by Baltimore City for $80,000 in planning funds to develop a Baltimore Greenway Trail Design Standards Manual. With over 70 miles of existing and planned greenways, trails in the city, they're looking to create uniformity with all the trail design. A completed manual would also still require approval from the Baltimore City Planning Commission. And the next slide pretty much shows the existing and proposed greenway trails. So the existing is the solid green lines, and the proposed would be the dotted lines. Next slide. The next project is also a Baltimore City project, and they are requesting $60,000 to prepare a pilot study for required parking zones. So this study would identify locations for the development of parking zones for micro mobility and dockless vehicles. and would develop standard operating procedures for implementation. Developing these RPZ zones would help to solve a safety issue where scooters and e-bikes and things like that are left on the sidewalks and create a bit of a hazard. So the next slide is just a map of the city, because the whole study would entail finding a location somewhere within the entire city network. So the next project is from Baltimore County. They submitted the Old Court Complete Streets project that would take an existing feasibility study that they've completed up to 30% design. This is a 3.3 mile segment between Northwest Hospital to Reisterstown Road and would include complete streets elements. And the city is requesting a bit more than normal, and the request was $200,000. And then the next slide is just a visual of the proposed corridor. So the next project is in Howard County, and they are requesting $50,000 to evaluate the feasibility of a pedestrian bridge over the Middle Patuxent River connecting Kindler Road and Edenbrook Drive. This study would also look at upgrading a few of the abandoned roads in the area. And then the next map is just a map of the location, and you can see the bridge that they were talking about in the middle of the project there. And then the last project that was submitted is also a Howard County project. This is a feasibility study requesting $100,000 that would evaluate the impacts of converting New Cut Road, which enters into Ellicott City, historic downtown Ellicott City, and making that a one-way roadway, and providing dedicated on-road bicycle and pedestrian facilities. And then the next slide is just a map of this area as well. And you can just a quick note here is the large area, orange area in the middle, is projected to be future residential development that would also contribute to the amount of bicycle and pedestrian traffic in the area. So our recommendations after we looked at all, I'm sorry. Okay, after all the scores, the team came up with the following recommendations. We would recommend funding the Brooklyn Park study for $80,000. We recommend funding $80,000 for the Baltimore Greenway Trail Design Manual. We recommend funding the Kindler Road study, Kindler Road project in Howard County. And we also recommend funding the New Cut Road study in Howard County. The one change to this project, though, is that we are only recommending $80,000 as opposed to the $100,000 that they were requesting, because this is more of a feasibility study than 30% design plans. So we think that this project should only be awarded $80,000. So the next slide. So the two projects that we currently are not recommending are the Old Court Road project. The team felt that this was a very worthy project, but is really outside of the scope of the TLC program. The funding level at $200,000 was much higher than is allowed with the program. But BMC would like to work with Baltimore County to find alternative means to fund this project and assist in other ways if possible. And we will be reaching out and trying to work with the county to figure out ways that we can help with this project. Same goes with the Baltimore City project, the parking zone study. We felt it was a good project, but we didn't think it really quite fit the criteria of the TLC program. But BMC staff would like to work with Baltimore City to find an alternative way of funding this project, as it does have a significant safety benefit throughout the city if this were implemented. So those four projects are our recommendations. If anybody has any questions regarding those projects, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Thank you, Key.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is not a resolution, but we are looking for consensus from the members. So it's, I think Angie's gonna say if there are any questions before we try to see if you support the recommendation.
I really had a hard time
You're a
hearing.
little low,
Question.
Regina.
Sorry, I was gonna say,
There
this
you
is
go.
not a, it is not a resolution, but we would like to get the tech committee's support, consensus from the committee, as we've done for the previous 2 rounds. But again, if there's questions, that would help. Thank you.
If members are in support of the TLC recommendations, please say aye. And if not in support, please say nay. Aye.
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 All right, thank you. The next technical committee meeting will be in person on Tuesday, October 7th. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Hearing no other business, I ask for a motion to close the business meeting.
Dan from MDOT, I'll make a motion to close.
Thank you, Dan.
Baltimore City seconds.
Thank you, Sean. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
See you in Providence.
Thanks.
See you there.
Aye.
Thank you very much.